Hey everyone, ready for another thrilling ride? This time, we're going monster hunting in the shadows of none other than the Blade cinematic world. Though some of these deadly creatures might not be on the top of our minds while thinking of the most dangerous villains, they still lurk in the dark. Forgotten maybe, but just as terrifying. Ranging from an immobile, overweight vampire to mutated ones. Blade's journey of hunting these bloodsuckers is a bag full of surprises. So buckle up, because we're going to explore some of the darkest corners in the Daywalker's career of vampire slaying. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small clip for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Actually, it's a video game.
Pearl. Portrayed by Eric Edwards in the 1998 live-action movie Blade, Pearl is an obese vampire. Yes, I know that does not sound very vampire-ish, but trust me, it makes him all the more creepy. Think about it. A fat vampire with long black nails, braided hair, and a high-pitched voice. Skin crawling, right? Though not shown in the movie, director Stephen Norrington believes Pearl's monstrous appearance is due to his cannibalistic habit of feeding on children, an idea expanded in the comics. This guy is twisted, even for vampire. Working as an archivist at the House of Erebus, the ruling council of the Vampire Nation, Pearl can barely move from his bed and stays idle surrounded by screens of recorded information. His origin is kind of a mystery. Pearl comes from an unknown period of time and has a native prehistoric knowledge indicating that he might be older than other members of the House of Erebus, including his boss, Deacon Frost. However, he is often ridiculed for being the weakest among the vampire group. And to worsen matters, his only trusted ally is an NYPD officer, Krieger, who would bring supplies for him and Frost. I mean, a vampire and a police officer? Unbelievable. Owing to Pearl's brilliant research skills and knowledge about the evolution of the vampire race, Frost had put him on the task of gathering information on the blood god, Lamagra, whom he intended to invoke by sacrificing 12 pure-blood vampires. Being the loyal servant he was, Pearl did his homework and was about to inform Frost regarding the return of Lamagra, when Blade, along with Karen Jensen, his hematologist friend, came across him in an underground hideout of the House of Erebus. He then tortures Pearl, forcing him to reveal Frost's wicked plan, who then proudly claims that his master wants to eradicate the human race altogether. Furious, Blade and Jensen end up using a UAV sunlight lamp to burn Pearl and kill him. Reapers. If you think vampires are scary, then imagine what a race of genetically modified ones can do. So, something called the Reaper strain of vampires evolved during a failed genetic experiment to create a new breed of deadlier bloodsuckers who would have no usual weaknesses, like silver or garlic. However, the Reaper strain did not just make vampires more powerful, it turned them into wild monsters who were clever enough to trap and attack their prey. But how did this fatal strain spread? Jared Nomac, a traditional vampire, is believed to be the original carrier of the strain, who then ended up creating an army of bloodthirsty monsters using his blood. I am sure you are thinking how and why Nomac got infected. Well, that is a different story for another time. The Reapers make a horrifying appearance in the 2002 film, Blade 2, and unleashes their terror on the world. Their bite, which could turn both humans and traditional vampires into Reapers, threatened to trigger a full-fledged pandemic. These feral, ghoul-like monsters sprawling everywhere, appearing with a ghastly pale skin. The Reapers have a heightened metabolism, which would make them eat their own bodies if they fail to feed regularly, left with no other choice. The vampire overlord, Eli Damaskinos, reaches out to Blade to contain the virus, who then reluctantly teams up with the Blood Pack, consisting of Assad and Nissa, Damaskinos' daughter. Blade's first interaction with the Reapers was tougher than he imagined. During the confrontation, it was clear that the Reapers are not easy to hold off, given their superhuman strength, monstrous jaws, and leech-like abilities. And their hearts? Even those were protected by a layer of bones. Shocked indeed, Blade is not that easy to stop. He and the Blood Pack follow the Reapers into their nest in a sewer, where the team confronts their super breed of vampires. After an intense struggle, Blade detonates the only known weapon against the Reapers, a UV bomb which kills all of them. But guess what? Nomac is still alive. Yeah, that is definitely not a good sign. Nomac. Remember, I told you that Jared Nomac's origin is a different story? Let's delve into it now. Jared Nomac is the estranged son of the ancient vampire, Eli Damaskino, who deeply hates his father, and no, it's not without any reason. Oh, and that makes Nomac and the Blood Pack leader Nissa siblings, who are now turned against each other. Damaskinos, in an attempt to create a race of day-walking vampires, performed several genetic experiments on Nomac, who then became the first carrier of the Reaper strain. However, he was pushed aside by Nomac for being vulnerable to daylight and focused on perfecting his mutation trial. In Blade 2, a betrayed Nomac is seen attacking a vampire safe house in Prague, turning them into the enhanced breed of monsters and kickstarting the Reaper outbreak to take revenge on his father. When Damaskinos Moskinos requested Blade to help put an end to this, he very cleverly hid the fact about who Nomac is, unaware of the truth. Blade tries to kill Nomac along with the other Reaper, but he escapes, remember? He then confronts the Moskinos, and finally kills him, avenging the years of torture he suffered. Nomac was not like any other regular vampire for Blade to take down. He not only had superhuman strength and endurance, but also enjoyed regenerative abilities, and could only be momentarily weakened by an anticoagulant, the EDTA solution. When Blade faces Nomac in a climactic battle, his combat skills and strategies prove pretty challenging for the Daywalker. Nomac nearly beats Blade to a pulp, and also bites Nissa. Blade finally manages to bypass the bone casing and stab Nomac in the heart, who then accepts defeat and drives the sword even deeper, ending his own life. Nomac remains the most tragic anti-hero in Blade's career of vampire hunting. Sure, he was brutal and extremely dangerous, but his painful backstory indeed instills a sense of sympathy. Lamagra, appearing as the patron deity of the vampires in the Blood movie series, Lamagra is an ancient blood god, hoping to gain supreme power and fulfill his dream of vampire domination. Deacon Frost undertakes a ritual in Blade 1 to awaken this mythical creature. The ritual needed the sacrifice of 12 pure-blood vampires, but there is a catch. In order to successfully complete the ritual and resurrect Lamagra, Blade's blood had to be used, resulting in his capture by Frost. The ritual took place inside a temple, where Blade was trapped within a sarcophagus, which cut into his flesh, giving Frost what he wanted. The ritual was hence completed, transforming Frost into an avatar of Lamagra. Lamagra offers exceptional strength and resilience to his vessel, granting near invincibility. He also endows his medium, Frost, with speedy healing powers and blood regeneration to wounded body parts. Unable to battle Lamagra's powers, Blade resorted to using EDTA blood-thinning needles as the last option. It caused Frost's body to swell up and explode, destroying Lamagra's earthy vessel. Here's a fun fact. In an alternate ending of Blade 1, Lamagra was not supposed to be absorbed by Frost, but rather appear as a whirlpool of blood whom Blade had to defeat. Honestly, it seems like a scarier climax, huh? Drake. Though the alias may sound unfamiliar, he is Blade's most notorious foe. No brownie points for guessing. He's none other than the most powerful vampire, Dracula. Drake is awakened in the Blade Trinity when a group of vampires led by Danica Tallow call upon him to create a race of new Daywalkers and also to kill Blade. As a result, Blade is drawn into a brutal confrontation with the original vampire, who is nearly impossible to defeat even after a neck-to-neck fight. Exposing him to sunlight? Not an option, because Drake is immune to it and walks around freely in broad daylight. Drake can also easily overpower Blade given how strong and agile he is. However, Blade stumbles upon a new bioweapon of the Night Stalker, Daystar, the only thing that can take Drake down. Surprisingly, Drake even sustains multiple injuries from the Daystar arrows, owing to his fast regenerative capabilities. Before finally succumbing to his wound, Drake uses his remaining power to shapeshift into Blade, acknowledging that he is the future of the vampire race and that the two had an honorable fight. Drake, no matter how vicious, has a twisted sense of respect for Blade, and in a way helped him to escape the FBI who was tailing him for an alleged murder. Priest, appearing in a small role in Blade 2. Priest is a pure-blood vampire, as a member of the Blood Pact, whose initial mission was to hunt down Blade. The two began as enemies. However, in their mutual struggle against the Reaper, Priest's vampiric skills as a warrior made him an invaluable asset to the team. Classic example of the enemy of my enemy being a friend. Priest also possessed typical qualities of a vampire, like enhanced strength, extendable fang, and superhuman reflexes, only making him a stronger competitor. Immune to common causes of fatalities against vampires, coupled with a quick healing factor, Priest trained for 2 years to match Blade in close fights. However, he still could not hold off the Reapers and got bitten by one. To put him out of misery, Blade exposes him to sunlight and kills him. Priest's death showed that even vampires can go with honor. Lighthammer, yet another pure-blood vampire of the Blood Pact. Lighthammer encounters Blade in 2002, where they team up against the Reaper outbreak. Known for his Maori tattoo all over the face and his black body armor, he dons a warhammer with spikes on its head. Possessing conventional vampiric power, Lighthammer fought a kindred but failed. Bitten by a Reaper during an intense fight, he began getting stronger and more thirsty for blood. After hiding the infectious bite for 2 days, Lighthammer fully gives in and turns into a Reaper himself. He forgets everything about his ally and even kills one of them. Ultimately, he is killed off by exposure to sunlight by his lover, Varlane, whom he tried to feed on. Though beginning his foe, Lighthammer tried to help Blade in their fight against the Reaper, but in the end, still died a monster. Marvelous verdict. Okay, folks, that was all about the 7 most dangerous and forgotten monsters from the Blade movie franchise. From fighting resurrected primeval deities to joining hands with previous, Blade did it all, in that too, with style. In my opinion, Blade would not be such a legendary character in the Marvel Universe without these blood-sucking, hideous creatures, whose defeat every time proved that Blade is unstoppable. Whether they were a mutated army of vampires in the sewer line, cunning one trying to reach godhood, each of these villains made the Blade trilogy a cult favorite. So, which of these monsters is your scariest nightmare? Let us know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.